Meet Ashley. Ashley had never met a boundary she agreed with. At first, Ashley was just curious. Then Ashley got involved. Then Ashley got closer, because Ashley believed strangers were just friends she hadn't spoken to yet. Personal space and privacy meant nothing to Ashley. And honestly, Ashley seemed genuinely confused that anyone would want either. A question existed. Ashley needed answers. Immediately, meet Frank. Frank said he was just having a quick snack, but Frank has never done anything quickly in his entire life. A normal person would have eaten the blueberry and moved on. Frank preferred to take his time. Every bite deserved consideration. Every bite deserved attention. At this point, Frank wasn't having a snack, he was having an experience. And honestly, he looked pretty pleased with himself. Eventually, the blueberry was gone. The meal had come to an end, and Frank did what every distinguished diner does after a memorable meal. He cleaned up, collected himself, and carried on with his day. Meet Brian. Brian was having a perfectly good afternoon. Then this guy showed up. Brian was hoping it would be a brief interaction. It was not. At first, Brian tried to be polite. Then Brian tried ignoring him. Then Brian tried pretending this wasn't happening. None of those strategies worked. The parrot had decided they were spending the afternoon together. And honestly, Brian was running out of options. Then things got worse. There were two of them. At that point, Brian accepted that this was his afternoon now. Meet Kevin. Kevin sat down to do one quick thing. This should take 10 seconds. Find the itch, scratch the itch, move on. Simple. Then Kevin found another spot. And unfortunately, Kevin has never met a small task he couldn't turn into a much larger project. At this point, the original itch had been solved. Nobody had the heart to tell him. But Kevin was committed now. This wasn't about the itch anymore. This was about finishing what he started, and that's how a 10-second task became Kevin's entire afternoon. Meet Linda. Linda had noticed that trash a long time ago, and until recently, it sounded like somebody else's problem. Then Linda learned there was a reward. Suddenly, Linda became very motivated. She found the trash. She delivered the trash. She completed the assignment. And honestly, the effort was inspiring. Some people called it responsibility. Linda called it compensation. The moment Linda got paid, everything made sense. Meet Carl. Carl liked being involved. He just didn't like staying involved. At first, everything was fine. Then Carl did something. We're still not entirely sure what, but Carl seemed very sure he didn't want to stick around and discuss it. So Carl did what he does best. He created a situation and immediately removed himself from it. No explanations, no follow-up questions, no accountability, just a cloud of confusion, and Carl heading in the opposite direction. Honestly, this wasn't Carl's first time doing this. Meet Greg. Greg remembered a time when he could sit down by himself. That time was over. They climbed on him. They interrupted him. They included him in activities he had not agreed to. Greg wasn't surprised. This wasn't new. At some point, Greg accepted a difficult truth. He wasn't getting his break back, because when you have children, being left alone becomes more of a memory than a plan. And honestly, Greg seemed okay with that. Meet Megan. Megan had retired from today's activities. Not forever, just for today. Megan was comfortable. Megan was settled. Then Ashley showed up. Ashley still believed things were going to happen today. Megan appreciated the optimism. She did not share it. Ashley tried encouragement. Ashley tried persistence. Ashley tried whatever this was. None of it mattered. Megan had already made her decision, and honestly, it looked like she made the right choice. Meet Diane. Diane was still paying attention, technically. At first, everything was under control. Then Diane reached the point where staying awake became a full-time job. She tried to fight it, she fought it again. And honestly, you have to admire the commitment. Most people would have stopped pretending by now. But Diane was determined to remain a functioning member of the meeting, no matter what her face was doing. At this point, Diane wasn't listening anymore. She was negotiating with consciousness. The negotiations were not going well. Meet Rachel. Somehow everyone else knew where they were going. Rachel did not. Apparently the group had started moving. Rachel was just now finding out. Now everybody was ahead of her. and Rachel was doing her best to act like that was completely fine, because Rachel wasn't trying to catch up. Rachel was trying to make it look like she meant to be back there the whole time. Meanwhile, the other two were just walking, and honestly, they probably thought Rachel was right behind them.